Good afternoon. My name is Katerina Odarchenko, and we continue to analyze sociological reports, which connect with a big survey, big CAT survey. So it's a research type of telephone calls to respondents on 2024. And in this situation, we do this video as video part 2. So if you're interested in video part 1, you can go to YouTube channel of SIG Group, because it's project of consulting company SIG Group and Institute for Democracy and Development. And, you can see the first part of this video. So today we analyze part 2, and it's 2024 survey. It was 2,000 respondents, and it was sponsored by USAID. How people in Ukraine analyze and see results of government work. And here you can see interesting facts about whose work you support from like government entities. So 77% of people support our Ukrainian army. As you can see from left side, it's when people like not support. And from right side, it's that people support. Yeah, so like green one, it's 77% of people support Ukrainian army, and less than 1% it's who less not support. So no, it's obvious situation in war period, but after we can see more interesting points. For example, Mr. Kuleba, who is Minister of Foreign Affairs. So one more time, support 24, most likely support 40%. President Zelensky, 22% completely support, 41% it's most likely support. Police, 16% support, 39% most likely to support. Local councils, 40% support, 33% most likely to support. Then head of National Defense Council, 11% support, 32% most likely to support. And then very interesting information, because as you understand, it's people who in country, and if you ask about president and if you ask about also army, it's obvious. But next numbers, it's very interesting for me. So I think here we can see, it's not in report, it's my thoughts, we can see some level of not trust, because look, cabinet of ministers, it's Ukrainian government, so Ukrainian executive branch, 6% support, 29% most likely to support. So that's why it's big number of people who not support government. But one more time, like government also formed by Zelensky and by majority, because Zelensky party also have majority in parliament. So technically parliament work with the administration of president and they form government. But you see, it's very different numbers between support of cabinet of ministers, of government, and of president, which is like interesting. Then Minister of Defense, 7% support, 27% most likely to support, 39 don't know. So and also a local center of like working with army people and social help, 8% of support, and 24% like most likely to support. It's also centers who work with mobilization issues. And most interesting that Verkhovna Rada, 3% of support, 16 most likely to support, and majority of respondents don't support Ukrainian parliament, which kind of also weird, because like parliament also have super majority of Zelensky party. So like mostly people support Zelensky, or they said that they support Zelensky in war period, and mostly people not support his parliament. So maybe it's also not in research. So maybe we see here situations that, like it's trying to change responsibility from administration of president to parliament, that, all wrong decision from parliament. And we see this with mobilization question. But I think that these numbers compare like trust to Zelensky and not trust to parliament. It's very interesting. But one more time, in Ukraine historically was not big support to parliament. Then also like support of Ukrainian army. So you see that 2022 was 92%, now 77%, but still it's global support. So it also says that new political elites, they will be, from army. And we have the same dynamics of support of Minister of Foreign Affairs, from bigger numbers to lower numbers. And from Zelensky also from bigger number in 2022 to lower number in 2024. So, and the same with police, and generally the same with local councils. So in all categories, we have the same dynamic from bigger support of power, right, of power of any level, to less support till we have 2 years of war. It's also not in research, but we can assume that this situation also connects that people expect more quicker win of Ukraine in this war. Second part of our part 2 analysis is migration. It's question, do you have some relatives like a spouse or your parents or your kids who now outside of the country? So 26% of respondents for now said yes, and 74% said no. And one more time here we can see difference between this percent of people from different parts of Ukraine. Obviously from Eastern Ukraine, it's more people who have relatives abroad because it's active war zones, and from Western Ukraine, where also like was some bombing hits near border with Poland, but not so much. Here interesting numbers. I always analyze these numbers for my articles for Wilson Center, for Atlantic Council, and we see that how many when your relatives want to come back to Ukraine, and 7% like in nearest future, and it's not connected with war, then they will came when war will end, 34%. It's important point to remember, 34%. They want to come back to Ukraine when war will end. And before, on first slides, we analyze what people think when they said when war will end, so it's interesting. 18, they not decide yet, and 19% don't want to come back to Ukraine. And 18% it's answer our relatives who abroad have different plans about comeback. So I think it's correlated with the next question, like that I haven't answered right now. So in the same situation, when people want to, do you have also, do you receive, or do you or your members of family receive financial help from relatives who now abroad, and they go abroad because of war? So generally it's questions that, is your relatives who now abroad send to you money or resources? And 18% said yes. So that people who, work abroad or now abroad send some resources, some money to people who in Ukraine, which also very typical because a lot of people who work abroad before, also on seasonal work, they usually send money to like their Ukrainian relatives. Also about like situation on and unemployment. So 48% of Ukrainians now work. And 56% of respondents said that I'm student, or I'm housewife, or I'm personal social security on pension, or I'm handicapped, or I'm in childhood parenting, like free time, yeah, and or parenting later time, all right? So it's 36%, but almost half of respondents, they work now. So 12% said that they lose their work because of war, they lose their employment because of war. And also very interesting issue, it's about donations. So it's question, do you donate some money to Ukrainian army on the last 3 months, and 76% said yes. One more time, it's like answer of people. So it's not statistics, it's answer of people that yes, they donate. One more time, it's war period in Ukraine. So this questions about trust to army, about trust to president, about trust, about like donations to army. I think that, no, we must think because totally situation which motivate you to give, to write and sociologically accepted answer. So other way we must do focus groups, and look a little more deeper to the situation. So one more time about language. So what language you use at home? 39% said that they use Ukrainian at home. Which, like Western Ukraine, 93% use Ukrainian at home, which was typical before war. And one more time question, do you use this language at home long time, or you just switch to Ukrainian? And mostly respondents said that I'm used to, 92%, I used to use Ukrainian at home. So it's not so interesting. Yeah, it's also interesting issue that what dates you celebrate, like Christmas. It's maybe not understandable for Western audience, but like before Christmas was January 7, and it's the same Christmas time as like Russian Orthodox Church do. And now our government proposed to celebrate Christmas 21st, 25th. And so the same date as like Europe and Catholics have Christmas. And generally it's except people who are Muslims or Jewish people, so it's only Christian people. And mostly said that 33% said that they celebrate Christmas on like new date, like with Europe. So it's interesting issue of understanding generally how people want to integrate to European community. About demographic, we also must have said that 19% want to save money even for food. It's about like demographical points from this survey. For 33%, it's enough money for food, but not enough for clothes. And for 24%, it's enough money for food and for clothes, but not enough food for good clothes or for mobile phone. And for 16%, it's enough money for food, clothes, and other like expanded, but not enough money for example, household issues. I mean, for dishwasher machine, for example, or for other like also small electronics for house. And only for 8%, it's enough money for food, for household issues, but they need to save money for car or for buying flats or other. And only for 1%, it's enough money for any spendings. So it's also show situation with economy. We said a lot about situation in economy first part of our conversation, but to understand how people live, it's very important to understand this issue. So for what it's enough money for them. So generally, you can see the situation, it's pretty critical. So I think it will be the last point for this second part of research. And if you're interested in some other insights from Ukrainian sociological landscape, and also if you read my articles on for think tanks or articles on our website of Institute for Democracy and Development, please feel free to ask, and we will prepare direct analytics for you. And we will appreciate also your donations in Ukraine or in United States, where Institute for Democracy and Development registered on 501c3, so these donations will be tax deductible for you. So take care. My name is Katerina Odarchenko, and thank you for Institute for Democracy and Development for support this analytics and to consulting company C Group.